Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take the complex source materials, articles, reports, geopolitical chatter, and, well, we dive deep to give you crystal clear context. Today we're heading into the Western Balkans. It's a region, always simmering with old rivalries, but now it's suddenly a flashpoint for modern drone warfare. The immediate news is pretty straightforward. Turkey supplied combat drones to Kosovo.
All right.
But the reaction from Serbia, let's just say it was explosive. President Vučić accused Ankara of a brutal violation of the UN Charter and basically dreaming of restoring the Ottoman Empire. Strong words.
Yeah, really strong. And what looks like just a military sale on the surface is actually, well, it's a tangle. Our sources show this drone shipment is just the latest chapter in this mix of economic cooperation running right alongside deep historical and political tensions. So our mission today really is to cut through that noise. We want to show you why this isn't just about weapons. It's a geopolitical game playing out from Belgrade all the way to the Eastern Mediterranean.
And that initial reaction from the Serbian president, that really sets the stage, doesn't it? His outburst on X, talking about dreaming of restoring the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah.
I mean, when a leader uses history like that from centuries ago, you know it's hitting a raw nerve.
Definitely. It's probably the most intense reaction we've seen from Serbia towards Turkey since, 2013, when President Erdogan said, Turkey is Kosovo and Kosovo is Turkey.
Exactly. That's the kind of emotional baseline we're dealing with here. So let's get specific. What exactly triggered this? What hardware are we talking about?
Okay, so Kosovo's Prime Minister, Albin Kurti, he announced they'd received, quote, thousands of ready-to-fly combat drones.
Right, and let's be clear what these are. Skydagger FPV drones. That FPV bit is key first-person view. These aren't like the big Predators or Reapers. They're small, relatively cheap, and an operator guides them with goggles, essentially. Makes them pinpoint accurate kamikaze drones.
Precisely. They can hit moving targets, stationary targets carrying an explosive charge, cheap, effective, and honestly, a huge tactical upgrade.
And this is on top of Kosovo already having the bigger Turkish drones, the Bayraktar TB2s.
Yes, exactly. So they've got the sophisticated Bayraktars and now this swarm of Skydaggers. It's a significant military boost, no question. And that's where Serbia's fury comes in. The fundamental issue for Belgrade is simple. They don't see Kosovo as independent. They view it as an autonomous province, still part of Serbia's sovereign territory.
Even though Kosovo declared independence back in 2008, and loads of countries like Turkey and the U.S. recognize it.
Over 100 countries, yeah. But for Serbia, arming what they consider their own territory, that's seen as a direct provocation, an act aimed at destabilization.
And Vučić specifically mentioned the UN Charter, claiming a violation. Is there any weight to that legally, or is it just rhetoric?
Well, the legal side is messy. Let's call it strategically messy. Serbia points to a UN Security Council resolution from 1998. That one did prohibit arms sales to Kosovo back then.
Right.
But Turkey kind of sidesteps that. They point to a later resolution, UNSC 1244, which was passed in 1999 after the war.
Right, Resolution 1244. What does that one say?
It had language saying the arms prohibition wouldn't apply to stuff needed for the international civil and security presences there, like peacekeepers. So Turkey spins this, essentially arguing they're just helping Kosovo bolster regional defense capabilities, framing it under the umbrella of general security.
Ah, okay. So it's a legal interpretation, a loophole almost, that lets them justify the arms transfers.
You could definitely call it a loophole. It's clever, but you can see why it infuriates Belgrade. It feels like twisting the original intent.
And the timing here is interesting too, isn't it? This drone delivery happens just as Turkey takes command of the NATO peacekeeping forces in Kosovo, KFOR.
Exactly. Their operational reserve force deployed just a few months ago, late September. So Turkey is now both the arms supplier and the lead peacekeeper.
That's quite a position to be in,
Yeah.
supplier and peacekeeper.
It raises eyebrows for sure.
So, okay, we have the drones, the legal arguments, the timing, but to really understand that Ottoman restoration comment, that visceral reaction, we need to look back, right, at the history.
Absolutely. You can't disconnect this from the historical trauma. It's not just about drones. It's about the Kosovo War in 1999. That's the wound.
Explain that connection for us. How does 1999 fuel today's anger?
Well, you have to understand Serbia's perspective on how things unfolded. Kosovo had autonomy within Yugoslavia back in the 70s. But in 1989, Slobodan Milosevic, the Serbian leader then, revoked that autonomy. What followed, according to many sources, was severe discrimination, even violence, against the ethnic Albanian majority. They were about 90% of the population.
Which led to resistance.
Right. It led to the formation of the Kosovo Liberation Army, the KLA, fighting against Serbian authority through the 90s. The conflict really peaked then. There were widespread allegations of Serbian forces carrying out ethnic cleansing, displacing hundreds of thousands of Albanians, killing thousands more. It was brutal.
And that's what triggered the NATO intervention.
Exactly. The 11-week NATO bombing campaign in 1999.
And that bombing campaign is, I think, the deepest part of the trauma for Serbia, isn't it? It wasn't just military targets. Belgrade itself was hit.
Significant damage to infrastructure, and tragically, over 2,500 lives lost, including many civilians, children too. Sources cite 87 children.
So when Serbia today sees Kosovo asserting independence, arming itself with Turkish tech, they inevitably view it through the lens of that 1999 devastation and what they see as NATO's aggression.
Precisely. And that's why Turkey's role is so charged. Turkey actively supported Albanian interests back in the 90s, politically and even militarily to some extent. And they were one of the very first countries to recognize Kosovo's independence in February 2008.
And those ties have just gotten stronger.
Especially under the current Turkish government. Many observers point to what they call a Neo-Ottoman foreign policy, a deliberate effort to increase influence in the Balkans, areas that were once part of the Ottoman Empire. Kosovo fits right into that.
Okay, so we've got this historical alignment, Turkey and Kosovo, built on shared history, support during conflict. Makes sense. But if this is all about historical destiny, Ottoman legacies, why do the economic numbers tell such a different story? It feels like there's a disconnect.
Ah, yes. This is where we get to the, let's call it the hypocrisy angle that a lot of people online and analysts are pointing to. Because while Belgrade is invoking history and accusing Turkey of destabilization, they have a very active, very lucrative economic relationship with Turkey. It's contradictory.
How contradictory? Are we talking significant trade?
Very significant. Sources confirm Turkey has supplied Serbia with millions of dollars worth of weapons just this year in 2024.
Wait, Turkey is selling weapons to Serbia too, while Serbia is complaining about Turkish drones going to Kosovo.
Exactly. And it's not just weapons. There are around 850 Turkish companies operating in Serbia. They're major trading partners. They've even reportedly discussed joint drone production together.
Wow. Okay. So Serbia is furious about Turkey arming Kosovo with essentially cheap kamikaze drones while simultaneously buying other military gear from Turkey and hosting hundreds of Turkish businesses.
It certainly looks like a double standard, doesn't it? It highlights that despite all the historical rhetoric and emotional language, practical economics often dictates policy. Money talks.
It really puts the Ottoman restoration claims in a different light. It seems much more transactional.
It does.
Okay.
And this transactional nature, this web of conflicting interests, it connects directly to another major geopolitical hotspot.
Okay, where are we going now?
Cyprus. This is where the proxy game gets even more layered and, frankly, quite fascinating.
Cyprus. How did that fit in?
Well, Serbia and Cyprus have strong diplomatic ties. They share a key challenge: disputed territory and recognition. Think about it. Cyprus doesn't recognize Kosovo's independence, and Serbia doesn't recognize the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, the TRNC, which Turkey established after its 1974 invasion.
Ah, I see. So they have a shared interest in non-recognition of territories backed by rivals. Serbia doesn't recognize the TRNC, backed by Turkey. Cyprus doesn't recognize Kosovo, backed by Turkey and others.
Exactly. It's a diplomatic alignment based on mutual opposition to the other's adversary's protege, if you will. And this alignment isn't just diplomatic, it translates directly into military hardware deals. Just earlier this month, news broke that the Cypriot National Guard took delivery of Serbian-made Temnava multiple rocket launchers, MRLs.
Multiple rocket launchers. From Serbia to Cyprus, those sound like serious offensive weapons.
They are significant long-range artillery systems. And given the history, the division of Cyprus, Turkey's military presence there, sending those Serbian rockets to the Greek Cypriot side is viewed by Ankara as a major provocation.
So let me get this straight. Belgrade is absolutely furious, invoking Ottoman history, because Turkey sent relatively small tactical drones to Kosovo.
Right.
While at the same time, Serbia is sending sophisticated long-range rocket systems to Cyprus directly challenging Turkey in the eastern Mediterranean near its own coast.
That's precisely the analysis coming from the sources. It paints a picture of intense hypocrisy, or at least deeply complex realpolitik. It shows how arms deals in this region are rarely just about defense. They're about leverage, about signaling, about poking your rival through proxies, even if you're doing business with that same rival elsewhere.
Trading weapons with your supposed ideological enemy's main adversary, while complaining loudly about them doing something similar. It's dizzying.
It is. It's pure modern geopolitics where alliances shift and economic needs often clash with historical narratives. So for you listening, trying to make sense of these headlines flashing across your screen, what's the big takeaway here?
I think it's recognizing the sheer complexity. These tensions are absolutely real, okay? They are rooted in genuine historical wounds, the Kosovo War, the NATO bombing, the centuries of Ottoman history looming in the background. But layered on top of that, you have these very pragmatic, often contradictory economic and security choices being made.
So it's a balance then, a really fragile one.
Exactly. You have geopolitical alignments like Serbia and Cyprus bonding over non-recognition of Kosovo and the TRNC. That's real. But then you have the constant pressure of economic necessity. Everyone needs trade partners. Everyone wants access to military tech, whether it's drones from Turkey or rockets from Serbia. Which leaves us with a pretty unsettling question to think about, doesn't it? When you see this kind of intricate web, where major players in a conflict like Serbia and Turkey here are simultaneously accusing each other of destabilization while actively selling advanced weapons to each other's historical rivals, what does that actually signal? Is this the new normal, a kind of perpetual transactional proxy conflict where ideology takes a backseat to arms deals and economic ties? Or is it just, the messy reality of doing business in a world where everyone is connected and maybe money just matters more than history sometimes?
It's a deeply troubling question, and one without easy answers. Really makes you think about where things are heading.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. We hope untangling this complex web of drones, history, and, yes, hypocrisy in the Balkans and beyond has given you some valuable context. If you found this helpful, if you appreciate getting these connections that you might not see elsewhere, please do us a huge favor wherever you're listening around the world. Go ahead and like this, subscribe to our channel. It really helps us keep bringing you these deep dives into the hidden corners of global news.
Thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.